Have you ever heard about the expression tunnel vision? Tunnel vision is the loss of peripheral visual perception with retention of central vision, resulting in a constricted circular tunnel-like field of sight. Tunnel vision can occur for several reasons, like when accelerating too fast, when wearing special goggles, or when dreaming of a tunnel for only cars, adding yet another problem instead of a solution. I warn you, this vlog is a little different from the usual ones. I'll be less cryptic. One of the biggest topics on the Maltese Islands in the recent weeks, months and possibly years has been the topic of the excavation of a tunnel being built as a permanent link between the island of Gozo and the one of Malta, and obviously vice versa. The Maltese Islands have a big problem with cars. There are too many. A problem which is increasing dramatically, just like its population, its property prices, and sadly, people's greed. Anyway, let's stay on the topic. Oh, look at my kitten who has just turned 2. For many Gozitan residents, and some Maltese who commute daily to Malta for work, studying, or healthcare, crossing the channel every day is a burden, especially when the weather conditions make the trip less than pleasant, or when queues are reaching somewhere like the center of the island. For these people, a tunnel would possibly mean a faster way to cross the channel. The two-way, one-lane 14 km tunnel, which is possibly going to be built, would have a maximum speed limit of 60 km per hour, which means if we avoid the time required to pay the toll and live driving in the legal limits, the tunnel could possibly be crossed in roughly 20 minutes. But really, that's only on paper. With nothing less than an estimated 6,000 cars and lots of heavy load trucks crossing on a normal day, and that's today in 2019, what makes us think we are ever going to be able to cross the tunnel at that speed? How many times will we be stuck behind a heavy truck driving at 20 km per hour all the way through? And all this in the hope that there is never any traffic accident, otherwise you might be caught in the tunnel for way longer. 14 kilometers with one entry and one exit. That's like from Bugiba to Floriana. That's the distance of the whole island of Gozo from side to side. Anyway, let's not panic. The tunnel will bring prosperity, new buildings, more cars, and a breath of fresh air, especially if you live next to the 2 ventilation funnels. The island of Gozo will change. Gozo will become a suburb of Malta, with more jobs moving over to the bigger island, and tourists, which are Gozo's #1 industry, no longer finding the charming island we have today. For a good part of my life, I have worked as a programmer. When a code has a problem, a good programmer needs to find the source of the problem, rather than patch it up with any unlikely solution. The tunnel is just patching up the real problems. Or maybe, if you want, it's a kind of placebo. It might work in the short run, but it's no real cure. Now let me tell you a little story. Imagine you need 4 hours to go and come back from work. You have little time to pass with your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, kids, pets. Now imagine that an innovative car tunnel slashes those 4 hours to 3 hours. 3 hours in which you furiously drive through the traffic, but hey, you're so liberated. You finally can pass more time with your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband, kids, pets, and Facebook. But how long would that happiness last? In fact, one day, going to work and arriving just in time, you're greeted by your colleague.
You're late.
For what?
Fair enough.
He just woke up minutes ago and walked 5 minutes across town. Suddenly, that half an hour less of commuting each way doesn't seem like a big deal anymore. Not a bit. Maybe it's time to move closer to work. A car tunnel that doesn't address the traffic on both ends is not a permanent solution. It might seem to solve today's problems, but it doesn't change nothing in the long run, especially when today's solution is still many years away. To find the right solution to a problem, one has to ask the right questions. How come it takes so long to commute to work? Why do so many people have to go on a daily basis to the other island? What would make their quality of life better? Suddenly one realizes that the problem is not in the commute, but in the reasons to commute. The main reasons many people travel on a daily basis to Malta is that Gozo doesn't have enough quality jobs. Salaries are way lower than Malta. The one hospital in Gozo is no match to the one on the main island, and though it received a superficial facelift, its upgrade has fallen way behind schedule. Companies coming from abroad are not given the right incentives to set up in Gozo, and though the technology to allow Gozitans to follow lectures from Gozo exists, it has not been implemented. Finally, the bonus question. Why are qualified Gozitan youths relocating to Malta? Malta has surely its appeal, but mostly it has better jobs and education, and once you adapt to life there and find new friends or partners who live there, why come back to Gozo if not just for a visit? So what are the solutions to the actual problems? Make Gozo more self-sufficient with quality jobs, competitive salaries and a better healthcare. Bring, in a sustainable way, a few, and just a few, of the big online companies which are relocating to Malta from abroad. Expand the hospital as planned. Bring new university courses to Gozo and facilitate the possibility of following lessons directly from the Gozo campus. Help local companies to grow, but only if they pay competitive salaries. Build a good, large car park on both sides of the channel. Invest into passenger-only fast ferries which go to Slima or Valletta. Improve the bus system in Malta, and if one bus is late at the terminal from the previous trip, bring in an empty one to replace it. Gozo has also a fully functional heliport. Why not reinstate the helicopter service? Once implemented all these solutions, one could possibly build a tunnel, a real one with an eye to the future. A tunnel that could solve today's and tomorrow's problems. A tunnel for passenger-only trains connected to an underground metro system that spans widely through the islands. This was my longest and most difficult vlog. It was designed to be one of a kind, but I somehow felt compelled to express my opinion. If you liked it, disliked it, or want to add something to it, feel free to comment in the space below. And if you want to watch more of my work, check my old videos on Facebook and YouTube, become a patron, or just subscribe to my channel. See you next week. Maybe.